For all of you, less motivated listeners, it's time for your 9 o'clock. Where the heck have you been headlines?
Where you at?
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ, PK, and we are joined now by Dave Rose, former BYU basketball coach. They're going to be honored at the Marriott Center. They're going to be honoring Jimmer Fredette. The good old days. Jimmer, the Mountain West Conference. Dave was coaching in that era. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. Dave, I'm curious. I mean, Jimmer now, you don't even need his last name. It's just Jimmer. Everybody knows it. Was there ever a time when he could have not ended up playing for BYU? Do you ever look back and think, well, we didn't know when he was a freshman and the recruiting process and all that? Or was it a slam dunk? It was one of those deals where you knew early on. Sometimes you know what's going to happen 12 or 18 months before it happens, but sometimes you don't really know what's going to happen. How did this one play out when you landed Jimmer?
Yeah, this was, we were kind of nervous the whole time through it because his mom, Jimmer's mom, really wanted him to stay close by because obviously they loved watching him play in person. And Fran McCafferty, this is when Fran and I became actually pretty good friends, is because we were everywhere watching him play for a couple of years, and he was right there at Siena, and so. We were pretty nervous for quite a while, and then when he finally committed to us, got his mom's permission to come all the way out here. His dad, Al was always, I think, kind of on BYU side a little bit. He went to BYU for a semester back when he was a kid, and he thought it would be a good place for him to go. So we didn't really know for sure until we got the mom's approval, and once we got the mom on board, then it worked out pretty good for us.
As I was covering the team during that time, it was a phenomenal time. What a great time to be alive, obviously, and to see Jimmer just take over. I'm speaking of the second part of maybe it was junior year and certainly his senior year, and I always thought that, man, if he would have played at Utah in the 90s, that never would have occurred. Let's call it like it is, right? And for you to basically say, okay, this is your ball, go ahead and do what you think is right. I mean, you had to make I don't know if a concession is the right word, but you had to make a decision to allow it to happen, and we don't really see that very much. So I thought, and Jimmer deserves 99% of the credit, but I thought you too, being able to just say and allowing him to do it, allowing him to flourish, if you would have reined it in, it wouldn't have happened. So just speak to your mindset at the time that you said, yeah, this is something that we need to do.
Well, I think more than Jimmer or more than myself, it was the other guys on the team. I mean, you have to have a group of guys who want that to happen in order to win games, and we felt that was a good way for us to try to close out games, especially. But his ability to score the basketball was unique and really unique for us at the time. And you give guys Jackson Emery and Brandon Davies and Noah Hartsock and Charles Abuo. I mean that whole group of guys, they all had to really buy into that, and it could only happen. I mean, it's hard to really try and explain to somebody who hasn't coached a program or tried to deal with 8, 9, 10, 12 different players. These players all come to college thinking that they're going to be the next guy, and then they're going to be the next, player at the next level in the NBA. And what we usually did was kind of dash all their dreams, and there's only a few guys every year that get the chance to be the star. And then there's only, a few guys from there that actually get a chance to go on and play. And so in this case, I really believe more than me or more than Jimmer or more than our coaching staff, it was our players and those guys allowing Jimmer to be Jimmer.
And I get that. There's a lot of truth in that. Convincing four guys that they need to defend hard and rebound hard, but they're not going to touch the basketball very often, that's a hard sell. So I totally get what you're saying. But to PK's point, I don't even know how many times I interviewed you, but there are three or four interactions that really stick with me over time. And I remember asking you, because there was a phase where you gave Jimmer the ball and he went to work. He's on the three-point line. We all close our eyes and see it, right? Head fake, shoulder fake, step back. He's driving. No, he's hitting a fadeaway three or whatever. But then it escalated even more, and he started taking logo threes. And this is before Steph Curry and before Damian Lillard made it semi-normal. He's taking logo threes, and people are oohing and on, and I'm looking at you, and I asked you specifically, what are you thinking when he takes a logo three? Is that his idea? Are you okay with that? And I just had the feeling that you were biting your tongue and your lip until they bled. Was it really hard to let him take 34-foot shots? Or you were just sitting back there thinking, this is awesome. Let it fly, Jimmer.
Well, I think he made it a little bit easier on me because he made most of them. I got a lot of guys who want to shoot him, but the fact that he was such a good three-point shooter, and when he started to move back and show his range, I mean that's hard for a lot of people. It's hard for a coaching staff. It's hard for to kind of watch that happen, but. When he's making baskets and it's helping your team win, I mean that's the end goal, and so that's kind of what we went with.
So many great moments of that team that season, his senior year, which what was that, the 2010-2011 season, and you guys went over to Denver, won a couple of ball games over there, beat Gonzaga, and then lost to Florida in overtime. And we, you don't want to hear it, but I believe if you had Brandon Davies, you would have won. But nevertheless, it didn't happen. And the half-court shot against the Utes, I was in the press box there up on the concourse level, and I was also in the Thomas and Mack in the for the conference tournament. And I want to get your opinion. I actually thought the best moment of the season for me was that semifinal game. 18,500 people. Thomas and Mack jammed, packed, and he goes for 53, 54 something, and he takes maybe one or two free throws, and I could just remember him putting on that show, and I'm sitting there in press row, and everybody, it was like freaking watching Larry Bird clips. As far as that goes. I mean, you were just amazed and stunned. Everybody knew what was going to happen, and he still does it. And it was, it was so awesome. So for me, that was my best moment of that whole entire season. What was yours?
Well, obviously that was a great night. And I think there's a lot of things that, individuals, people who watched it and followed it, they'll remember, about that season with Jimmer. But, that New Mexico game in Vegas, I mean, we've been beat by New Mexico twice, and this Darius Gary kind of had our number. And I don't know if we'd have got him that night if he didn't. I think he broke his ankle that night and didn't play the second part of the second half, and we ended up winning the game. And obviously, the kid was absolutely tremendous down there. But for me, I think it's got to go.
Do your magic, Chicho.
Chicho, make it work. We're getting right to the payoff. Well, for me, it's what, Coach? Call him back.
That was unbelievable.
That really was. That was a heck of an edit right there. That was the exact thing I wanted to hear. And he's literally 2 words away. Bang! It's over. What? Come on. All right, Dave, that was hilarious. You got, for me, and we're hanging on every word and you go away. It was like, that was it. That was the moment. Yeah. So pick it up there. For me, it was.
Yeah, I never was very good at using electronics. So, whatever happened. But for me, it was the next weekend, when we go to Denver and, we get by that first game. The Wofford game was really tough, and then we got through that, and then we ended up playing Gonzaga, which we thought was a one-off, but it ended up being the next big piece of BYU basketball was playing big games against Gonzaga. But us being able to win that game and then get to the Sweet 16, I mean, that's I think the most special memory for me, because that's pretty hard to do. I mean, it was really, really hard for us to do in that time. I mean, Coach Young did it in his first year, so it doesn't sound that hard for him. But for us, it was a pretty big accomplishment for us.
Jimmer famously didn't come in. He wasn't a star as a freshman, and it occurs to different people along the way. Oh, wow, wait a minute. Right? Jimmer Mania is his senior year. That's Jimmer Mania, and everybody knows what's going on. For me, it was really clicking in his junior year. He was averaging over 20 points a game. That's a lot in a 40-minute college game. He was your leading scorer and all that. But the game that really jumped out at me was your first NCAA tournament game. You guys hadn't won a tournament game in like 17 years, and you win a thriller over Florida, and he went off. And I can still remember him standing on the baseline doing a post-game interview like it wasn't that big a deal. And I'm like, wow, I knew he was good, and now I realize he's really good. And he isn't even impressed. There's even more there. I mean, I was thinking, how good can this get as a senior? Well, that was for me. I'm not at practice every day. I'm not with him, on the bus, on planes and all that. I'm figuring it out then, late in his junior year. When are you figuring it out like, wow, this is a guy we can really ride to places we don't normally go?
Well, I think, obviously after his junior year, we got the win against Florida. And then, we had we played pretty well, but we weren't good enough to beat Frank Martin and his group. So, but we were that next year trying to get him to come back during the spring. And, I wanted to give him every opportunity to visit all the NBA clubs and get a read from everybody and then make a decision if he was going to, go early or if he was going to come back. And, obviously, the whole time, I feel like the best thing for him is to come back. But I think really that's because that's the best thing for me, for him to come back. But when he actually did come in my office and tell me that that's what he wanted to do, and then not only did he tell me that was his decision, but then came with a plan that he had drawn up, that what he was going to do that summer and what he wanted to accomplish and the things that he was, the reason that he was coming back, not only to improve himself, but to help BYU to advance in the tournament and to be with those guys, to be with his teammates. And even to this day, you got the guy and went and asked him the most special part about that season. He'll tell you that it was the guys that he played with. I mean, they were really a special group of guys, and they when you take Jackson Emery and Jim are still best friends today, and their families. So I just think that was a special time and a special group, and I hope it happens again in college basketball, but probably won't. I don't know if Jimmer would be able to stay at BYU for 4 years. I know one thing: if we'd handled him the way I handled him the first year, he'd never come back anymore. I mean, that's be long gone. But that's from me watching it from afar. So I just really, I'm happy it happened, and I'm glad we get to celebrate it here this weekend.
You talk about the guys and being able to allow him to flourish. And I think a large part of that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're much closer to the situation than I was the humility that the kid had and being around him. I mean, he was getting just an unprecedented amount of attention was being shined on him in this game at that time. And yet he still had that little all shucks, small town kind of guy that he never let it get to him. And even today, you talk to him and he basically deflects and he's self-deprecating and all that. Speak to what kind of kid he was during all this and how that he was able to stay so level-headed when he didn't let the stardom really get to him or change who he was or is.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most unique things about the season. And it all had to do with his personality and his natural way with our team. And I've talked about this many times, but you didn't see Jimmer and one guy hanging out all the time, or Jimmer and a little group of the team, and those guys are always together. Jimmer was with a different guy, every pregame meal. He sat with a different guy, and he just has had a really good relationship with, almost every single guy on that roster. And it had, I would find out, this, later during the week, whatever, that, he would go out, during the week with this group or with that group or with that group. And that's really unique. And usually guys, especially guys who get to be really, really good and going places in Provo is a little bit difficult. That they get their posse and they stay with that group, and then they find a pattern. That's kind of how they go through it. But Jimmer was different that way too. He loved the people who paid attention to him, and he spent so much time getting from the arena to the bus and all these different places that if the guys ever got upset at Jimmer, that was probably the reason. It was like, hey, come on, Jimmer, let's go. We waited long enough. Let's get on. Let's get on to the next town. But he was a guy who genuinely just loved to be around our team and the group of guys that we had.
I'm hoping when they do the celebration, and obviously they have the 15-year rule, and he's met all the qualifications, that they also announce the Dave Rose practice facility building. I think that's due. I know you're not going to want to address it, but that's what I think.
Yeah, well, the one thing you do know, Pat, is that you covered BYU for a long time, so you could probably write an article about covering BYU and what happens at BYU. And I'm just really happy that I'm around 15 years later and get a chance to see this happen for Jimmer. I hope I'm around to see it happen for a couple more guys, because I had some pretty good players through the years, and I think there's a few other guys that maybe deserve this too. But you think about how long, how many people have played at BYU, and what we've got 2 or 3 guys who's number been retired. So you never really know what's going to happen next. But I'm really happy for Jimmer and his family.
All right, one more thing before we let you go. I told you I remembered a few questions I've asked you and look on your face for some of these answers and big moments. One of them was on a radio show. It was about 2008, I think, maybe in 2009. And we had you on, and you were on the phone just like this. And I remember the studio you're in, which is why I can place it. And you probably have no idea what you said, but it was great advice. And we have quoted it to each other. Do you have any idea what I'm even talking about?
Hey, come on, man.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
How can I remember what happened yesterday?
Okay, I'll bounce this back at you, and then you could just think about it. Say it was right at the end of the interview, and you said, "Hey, you two, you got a nice little thing going here. Don't mess it up." You said that, and we have quoted that to each other in troubled times. We're like, well, remember what Dave said. Got a nice little thing going here. Don't mess it up. So far, so good, Dave. We've held on to that advice so far.
It's still rolling.
Right?
It's still rolling. You guys do a great job. The numbers have changed. All your numbers have changed. The number on the dial, the number in your paycheck, all those things.
Our age. How about our age, man? The decades. The number of gray hairs.
But obviously the show is still the best in town. And I know that you guys love doing it. I think that's the one thing that every person who listens to it, they get the same feel from it, is that you love what you do and you love covering, Utah sports. And I think that we all have been lucky to have guys like you that have been able to kind of spearhead the thing for us. So congratulations on staying alive this long.
You too, and I mean it more for you than me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been fun for me.
We love stories, and you provided us with a bunch of stories, and Jimmer provided us with a bunch of stories. So enjoy Saturday afternoon in the Marriott Center, because this kind of stuff is fun, and fans just eat this up. Fans want to look back 15, 20, 25 years and remember the good old days. Doesn't matter pro, college, high school, doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter men or women, doesn't matter how much money people aren't getting paid. Everybody loves that. So enjoy Saturday afternoon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Dave Rose, retired BYU basketball coach. It's Colorado at BYU. It ought to be a win for the Cougars at home. 2 o'clock, FS1, and they will honor Jimmer. Kresimir Chosic, Danny Ainge. I don't remember anybody else up there. Is there another one, or is Jimmer
I think
3?
they have 1 or 2 women's players.
Okay, yes, but I was talking to men's
No
players.
men's. I was there covering it when Ainge got his thing.
Yep, I was there that night too.
Seemed like that was long overdue.
Because it was long overdue. I mean, you have to wait whatever the time is.
15.
Right. But as soon as you get there, let's go.
Yeah.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.